Hey guys, I know we're a little late, but I had to get all the crew here in place. So without further ado, I'm going to bring everybody up because I don't plan on being here all night. So we're gonna go ahead and do the cross-examination with Nicole. I'm sorry, with Jennifer. I'm sorry. With Jennifer Bonjean, Father. Oh Lord, forgive me, y'all. I apologize. With Jennifer Bonjean. All right, now we have the judge. Hello, judge.
Hello.
We have Mr. Brentley.
Hi.
We have Jennifer Bonjean.
Howdy.
And we have Mr. Julian slash Miss Abigail, whichever one pops up. She's gonna be the government. All right, guys. Um, a continuation of Lisa VanAllen cross-examination by Jennifer Bonjean. United States versus Robert Sylvester Kelly, Daryl McDavid, and June Brown, aka Milton Brown. All right, let's get going. All right.
Proceedings heard in open court. Jury is out. Okay, the court. Everybody here? It looks like it. Mr. Thompson? I don't see Mrs. Judge. Oh, there she is. Mr. Brindley? There she is. Okay, ready to start?
Not yet, Judge. Hold on a second, Judge. Just one moment, Judge.
Mm.
My computer's acting up here. Don't know what's going on. Oh, just one second. All right, I'm gonna try to see if I use this other phone here. For some strange reason, it's just like. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm ready.
Okay. So, Mr. Thompson, I don't see Mrs. Judge. Oh, there she is. Mr. Brindley. There she is. Okay,
There she is.
ready to start?
Mr. Julian, you're Miss Paluzzo as well. Guys, we're apologizing. For some strange reason we keep getting kicked out. Just bear with us, please.
Okay, so I'm gonna do Miss Palozzo for a second. So I'm Miss Palozzo right now. Your Honor, I believe my co-counsel wanted to raise one thing with you before we bring the witness out and get started. Let's do it.
Two things, Your Honor. Well, actually, Your Honor, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, Judge.
Yes.
All right, Your Honor, I have got two things. First thing is regarding the witness who is currently on the stand, Miss VanAllen. It's my understanding, obviously, I have not met with that witness. Bonjour.
Oh, I'm sorry. I cannot hear him.
Okay, well, obviously, I have not met with that witness because she's on cross examination. But I was informed this morning that she expressed to law enforcement she wasn't coming to court this morning. And so the agents went to pick her up to make sure that she was, in fact, coming to court.
She's out there now?
She's here. I'm just disclosing, Your Honor, that the agents had contact with her in order to pick her up to bring her to court. No promises were made to her, but I do believe that they said that, this is in summary and substance, that this is almost over. She'll be done testifying today. And they also said to her that I would have an opportunity to redirect, clear up anything that would need to be cleared up. So that was the substance of the conversation the agents had with her when they went back to pick her up and bring her here. She's here. I just wanted to put on the record that they had that contact with her and
All right.
making sure she came to court this morning.
What's the other one?
The other thing is, I want to just revisit. So during the direct examination of this witness, I attempted to introduce three photographs of Mr. McDavid, Brown, and Kelly. There was an objection as to relevance because the witness had identified them. You sustained that objection. I just want to tee this up before she gets back on the stand. Based on the nature of the cross examination and the suggestion that was made, particularly during David McDavid's cross examination, that McDavid was an accountant, a lowly accountant. Certainly, whatever the characterization was of him being merely an accountant, that there's probative value in the picture of him and Kelly at the courthouse on multiple dates during the trial. And so I'd ask again, based on the cross examination on redirect, to ask this witness about those photographs.
Judge, first of all, I would never refer to my client as a lowly accountant, just not a murderous one. Nonetheless, I would say that this witness actually never saw Mr. McDavid outside the courthouse, and that the photograph that they're talking about is outside the courthouse. I mean, she said she saw him in the courthouse. She already testified to that. She said she can identify what he looks like. So there's no purpose in these photographs being admitted into evidence. You know, we've cross examined this witness, and her credibility is what it is now. So I don't see anything has changed. I still maintain we don't need a photograph. The photographs, they are irrelevant. She never saw Mr. Brown and Mr. McDavid and Mr. Kelly all outside the courthouse in the pictures that appears like it was taken by the news media. So I don't think we should put that in evidence. I object.
Respectfully, Your Honor, just as a point of fact, the witness did say that she saw Mr. McDavid in and around the courthouse. And if I were allowed to show her the photographs, I believe she'll say she's seen those actual photographs before, Your Honor. And again, just relevance is very low bar, Your Honor. The idea that, however, it was characterized yesterday with Mr. McDavid being just an accountant, them being together during trial on numerous days is relevant.
Well, I think we'll leave it alone. So the motion is denied. Are you ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Bonjean, are you ready for the jury?
I am, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Would you get them in here, please, Rahul? Courts, all rise. Please be seated. Good morning, members of the jury. Yesterday, the witness VanAllen was for cross-examination, and that's where we'll pick up today. Miss Bonjean, you may cross-examine the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Miss VanAllen.
Good morning.
I understand you didn't want to join us here this morning.
Oh no.
The agents had to come get you?
Yes, I've been here all week.
And you didn't want to come voluntarily to court, is that right?
I wanted to come. I'm just exhausted, but exhausted.
And you understand that you're under subpoena, of course, to be here, I assume.
Yes, I was coming either way.
Okay. But you got a lift from the agents, didn't you?
The same people that drives me every day.
Are you saying you didn't indicate you weren't coming?
I never said I wasn't coming.
Didn't you tell the U.S. attorneys that you didn't want to come today and you weren't coming?
I didn't want to come and not coming aren't coming is two different things.
Okay. So you were just going to be late. Was that your plan?
No.
All right. Now, Miss VanAllen, my name is Jennifer Bonjean. I represent Mr. Kelly, and you testified about a number of things yesterday, including your relationship with him. So I'm going to spend some time there, okay? If we can start. You testified that you were an extra on his video shoot for the track Home Alone. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's how you met him, correct?
Yes.
And when you went to this video shoot, you were a fan of R. Kelly. Am I correct?
I mean, yeah, I like his music.
Okay. And you have seen the video for Home Alone, I assume, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to show a short clip to you on the monitor and see if you can tell me if you recognize it, okay?
Yes.
Do it just for the witness and no sound right now. Do you recognize these images?
Yes.
And was this the Home Alone video that you were an extra in?
Yes.
And do you recognize Mr. Kelly in this images that are being showed right now?
Yes.
And is that how he appeared on the day that you met him?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, I would move to put in a short clip of this video, about 30 seconds, and publish to the jury.
Any objections?
I'm not really sure the relevance of it, Your Honor.
Well, they found it relevant, Judge, when they put it in a picture of Mr. Kelly on direct examination of what he looked like.
All right. If that's an objection, it's overruled. You can play the short.
Turn up the volume.
For the jury,
Thank you, Your Honor.
you may publish it.
Do you recognize yourself in one of those images?
Yes.
Were you in there?
Yes.
And what were you dressed? And just if you could describe which one you were.
The blonde hair and the like the jumpsuit, cat suit, pantsuit.
Okay, you can take that down. Now, you testified yesterday that this shoot took place in August of 1998, right?
I testified to that. That it took.
That the shoot took place in August of 1998. I thought I heard you testify to that.
Yeah, that's when it was shot.
And in fact, it was September of 1998, right?
I'm not sure about September. I thought it was August.
Do you remember the agents, the federal government and its Homeland Security agents, informing you that it was actually shot in September of 1998? They had gotten that information from Sony Records or whoever keeps that information.
I don't remember. I remember they did inform me it was after my birthday.
Yeah, your birthday is in June.
Right, exactly.
But do you quarrel with the fact that it was shot in September of 1998?
I don't quarrel with it. I just thought it was August.
Well, first you thought it was 1997, right?
I didn't say that.
No, I'm saying first, as in for the last, I don't know, 15 years you've said it was.
I never said 1997. I said I was 17, which is half of the year of 1998. I am 17.
Okay, well, we'll get to that. I'm going to keep going. And you claimed on your testimony that during a break in all that shooting, which we saw some of the scenes that you were being shot, that one of Robert's cousins or someone associated with him approached you and said that Robert wanted to meet you. Is that right?
His cousin Blackie, yes.
Okay. And you ended up having a conversation with him, Robert, that is.
Yes.
And you previously testified that he asked your age, right?
He did.
And you told him you were 17. Is that correct?
As far back as I can remember, Yes, I told him I was 17.
Okay. And yesterday you acknowledged publicly for the first time that you were actually 18 because math is math, right?
Yes, I acknowledged it yesterday.
Okay, right. So I'm a little confused by the testimony in this sense. Are you saying you lied to R. Kelly about your age when you met him?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I had the interview done based on my memory. It was cold. He gave me his sweater. Based on my memory, I thought it was before my birthday when I was 17.
Okay, so that's different. That's different. So
Regardless,
are you saying you lied to him at the time or you misremembered what you told him? Those are two different things.
I didn't lie.
No, listen to my question. Did you lie to him when he asked you how old you were?
I did not know.
Well, what did you tell him?
I don't remember. I just explained it to you.
What did you tell him when he asked you?
I don't remember.
On that day, you were shooting those scenes when you were in that jumpsuit and there was this huge amount of people and you were talking to him somewhere. When he asked you, "Hey, how old are you?" Did you say 17 or did you say 18?
I just said I don't remember. I remember having him giving me a sweater because I was cold on the side of the pool.
I'm not asking what you remembered.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Leave it to at that.
So, it's possible that you actually just misled him about your age. Is that right?
Objection. This has been asked and answered.
Definitely not.
Well, it can't be. You knew how old you were at the time, right?
Judge, my objection is that this has been asked and answered.
I thought you said you were going to leave it at that.
Well, I like to, but when a witness doesn't make sense, I have to sort of drill a little further. But I'm going to move on. But it is an important point, and I'm going to get to why it's particularly important for reasons that Mr. Brentley didn't even touch because
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the commentary and ask Ms. Bonjean.
it's a response to your objection.
Julian.
Julian. Julian having trouble with her phone.
Okay. I'm just objecting to the commentary and ask Miss Bonjean to ask the next question, Your Honor.
Okay,
Okay. Let's
I'll move on.
move on.
You knew how old you were in the moment of September of 1998, right?
Objection. Asked and answered.
It's the same question. I said I don't remember, and I told him what I
That's
told
not
him.
that's
You
not the
told him
answer.
what? I'm sorry.
That's not the answer to my question.
I don't remember.
I
I remember asking him.
One at a time, please.
Whoa. You can't both talk at the same time. The court reporter just said one at a time, please. So, okay. Ask one more question on this subject and then let's move on.
Miss VanAllen, you knew how old you were in September of 1998. Can we agree on that?
I don't remember.
Okay. Now you claim that he also asked if your mother would give you permission to travel to Chicago, right?
Yes.
Did you tell him you weren't living at home actually?
Why would I? Why wouldn't I be living at home?
Well, ma'am,
I was living at home.
didn't you leave home at 16?
I moved with my aunt briefly when I was 16, but I moved back when I was 17.
Okay. And you have previously stated in interviews that you pretty much were semi homeless. Do you remember that?
No, not like that. I was saying my when my aunt wouldn't be home, I wouldn't be able to get in the house until she was home.
But you left your home to stay with your aunt in Minneapolis when you were 16, right?
Yes, but I came back when I was 17.
Okay. And now, did you tell Mr. Kelly, I don't need permission to come visit you in Chicago? I'm 18 years old.
I didn't say I don't need permission. I But I did not ask her when he said, "How old are you?" And I said whatever I said. I told him that she would let me go to Chicago, and I didn't ask her.
Okay. And you accompanied him to his trailer tour bus, and that's when you had your first sexual encounter with him. Am I correct?
Yes.
And after you had this sexual encounter, you actually stuck around on the tour bus, right? You stayed for a little bit
Yes.
and you waited for him to return because he was working on this video, right?
Yes.
You didn't leave, right?
No, that's why I'm only in the one scene.
I'm sorry.
That's why I'm only on one scene. I stayed on the tour bus. I mean, on the trailer.
And you waited for him to come back, right?
Yes.
And then at some point you exchanged numbers, correct?
Yes.
And then am I right that you called him then at some later point, right?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm not going to repeat all the times that you have stated either under oath or in interviews or wherever that you were 17 when you were really 18. Mr. Brentley went through some of that, but you testified just earlier that you never told anyone that it was 1997. Am I right?
I don't recall stating that.
Okay, well, let's see if I can refresh your recollection. You recall that at some point you began cooperating with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office in advance of Mr. Kelly's 2008 criminal prosecution, right?
Before his trial, you're saying?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you recall Assistant State's Attorney coming to visit you in Atlanta, Georgia on March the 11th, 2008, to interview you for the first time because you were going to be given testimony at this trial. Do you remember that?
I don't remember the date, but yes, they did come out.
Right. And do you remember an Assistant State's Attorney by the name of Shauna Bolliker, now Judge Bolliker?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember her partner, a man by the name of Robert Helen Goetter? I think is the way it's pronounced.
I don't know. I do know it was a gentleman. Whether I don't know his name.
And you do recall giving a statement to them prior to giving your testimony at the trial of Mr. Kelly, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to ask that the statement be published just to her so if it refreshes her recollection. If you could pull out the first sentence of the second paragraph. Isn't it true that you told Assistant State's Attorney Bolliker and Assistant State's Attorney Helen Goager that you met him in a video shoot in late 1997?
Hmm. I guess I did, but I later corrected that.
You mean yesterday you
I'm sure.
corrected that? Yesterday you corrected that?
I'm not sure what you mean by yesterday.
Well, now, when did you first realize that it was actually late 1998, a whole year later?
I'm really not sure.
Okay.
When I decided to testify against him, I wasn't like researching everything. I was just calling it how I remembered it. That's just it.
Well, you shouldn't have to research your story, right?
I'm not saying the time that the video shoot was shot. I couldn't remember it right off the top of my head. That was 10 years earlier.
Right. But you knew that in 1997 you weren't 17, right?
Once again, I said I couldn't remember.
Right. But again, it's just simple math. When you say it was 1997, you must have done the math to say I couldn't, I was, and you even had a birthday on a round number, right? 1980.
Why would I do all that math when I'm trying to tell the truth? Why would I sit there and say, what age was I here and then? I mean, that doesn't make sense.
Why?
I'm just making a statement
Because
about my life. Wait.
because people's lives depend on it. Because it's not good to lie under oath. That's why.
When I testified against him, it wasn't for me, it was for Jane and him.
All right. Okay. Well, you mean the person you allegedly sexually abused? That's who it was for?
About Jane. It was about Jane.
Yeah. It was about Jane, who you claim by you self-admittedly sexually abused. That's who you're here for? Is that your testimony, ma'am?
Through Robert Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Lying, yes.
Okay, now, well, no, not lying because even according to you, she was 16. You understand that would have been sexual abuse, right?
And I admitted that she was 16.
Okay, so just to be clear, you're here testifying for the person that you claim and admit you sexually abused. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Repeat the question.
Yeah, for the person that you admit was 16 years old, or you believe she was 16 years old, you're here testifying for her. This is the person that you sexually abused, right? Is that right?
I'm not. I'm not proud of that.
Okay.
I don't know what woman would be proud of that.
Okay.
But I'm here to admit that of my wrongdoing, and I hold him accountable for what he's done.
Okay.
So I sit there and try to make me the bad guy all you want. But I'm up here admitting that, yes, I thought she was 17.
Ma'am, you are here 20 years later.
I have friends that are 16, 17, and 18 years old in high school.
Move to strike. She is not, and honestly,
I answered your question, yes.
Hold on. Calm down. Let's go back. Ask a question, Miss Bonjean.
I will. Cross-examination is hard, but that's how it works.
Your Honor, Miss Bonjean, would you mind taking this document down if you're not refreshing her recollection with it?
What's with the tears?
Oh.
Let me know when you have composed yourself, okay? Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, good. You would agree that the first time you traveled to Chicago to meet Mr. Kelly, you did not need any sort of fake identification, right?
I'm not sure.
Well, under what scenario would you need anybody to get you any type of identification?
I don't know. There's a time where I lost my license and I didn't use I used one of my friend's license, so
Okay, let's put that aside for a minute. By the way, that would be a crime, wouldn't it?
I did it and I'm admitting.
We,
I'm just letting you know.
well, you know, Mr. Brentley let you know that yesterday. You didn't let us know that.
No. I told the attorneys.
Your Honor, I object to.
All about that.
This commentary again, there wasn't a question. And just the unnecessary commentary, I'm going to keep objecting to, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll move on, Judge. But I would like an answer to my question that there would be no reason for anyone to have to facilitate getting you identification in late 1998 or early 1999 or whatever it was because you yourself had your own identification, right?
I'm not understanding what you're saying. You're saying facilitate.
Oh.
What do you mean?
First of all, we're not suggesting you traveled under a fake name to Chicago in late 1998, are you?
I said I used someone else's ID. I didn't say what year. I'm not sure, honestly. You know how long ago that stuff was? And you think I can remember everything verbatim? What day I did what exactly?
This shouldn't even require you to really remember anything. My question is, you would have no reason to require a fake ID or anybody getting you an ID in late 1998. You can travel at the age of 18 with your own ID, right?
Of course, a person can travel with their own ID if you have one.
Okay, and are you saying you didn't have ID in late 1998?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm saying you said that a person doesn't need to get a fake ID. I was saying if you have one,
Okay, why wouldn't you have an ID?
someone may not have applied for one. 18 is still young.
Did you have a driver's license in when you were 18 years old?
I don't think I got a driver's license at first. I think I had a state ID when I first got my first ID.
Okay. So you had a state ID, right?
I'm not sure
Oh,
what age exactly when I got it. Um, but I did have an ID at some point around then.
okay. When we can agree though that you wouldn't need anyone to help you get a fake ID for the purpose of traveling, right, at that time.
Why would we? I'm not understanding the fake ID thing because I use a friend's ID.
Listen to my
I
stop
hear
thinking.
I hear the question.
Stop anticipating. Just listen to my question, okay? Please. You would agree that you wouldn't need a third party, a third person, to help you get any type of fake ID to travel. You would agree with that, right? During this time period in late 1998.
It just depends on the situation. I mean, I don't know what kind of like funny question to me because it depends. It depends on a lot of different things. If you ask me,
Most people do not think they need fake IDs for anything,
you're right.
except maybe some teenagers. But I'm asking you, at 18, can you think of any reason why you would have needed a fake ID to travel to Chicago?
Your Honor, this has been
I just don't understand.
asked and answered. This has been asked and answered a few times. Objection.
She doesn't understand. I guess you'll have to accept it.
Yeah, but it isn't. But isn't it true, ma'am, that on March the 7th, 2019, you were interviewed by Homeland Security agent Ryan Chobot? Do you remember that?
No, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
And you told Agent Ryan that 1 month after meeting Kelly, that Mr. Brown got you an ID so you could fly to Chicago to visit Kelly. Do you remember telling him that?
I don't remember it. It doesn't mean it didn't happen.
And that's
I don't remember it.
And that's just not true, Miss Van Allen. You didn't need an ID to travel anywhere for Mr. Brown, right?
Which Brown are you talking about? I have two Browns. I know
Oh,
two Browns.
you mean, well, we'll get to the father of your child, second child, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not talking about that one.
So reinstate. Say the question again.
I can appreciate the bitterness towards Mr. Kelly, but you do realize that it's wrong to falsely implicate people in crimes, right?
Object to form of the question. Object to the commentary, the unnecessary commentary.
Objection sustained.
You falsely told agents that Mr. Brown obtained identification so you could travel to Chicago to see Mr. Kelly, didn't you?
I don't recall.
Because that sounds a lot like maybe you were suggesting there was some sex trafficking going on, and that was not true, was it?
I didn't say anything about sex trafficking. No.
When you suggest that people are getting 17-year-olds IDs to travel, you understood that that was against the law, don't you?
I
Didn't you?
I'm not. I don't even remember. What are you talking about? So,
Okay,
I don't ag- I can't agree to that.
now you looked at some video footage of Mr. Kelly and you identified him. And I think this has gotten lost, but you would agree that Mr. Kelly was 31 years old, right? Or around that age?
When? Which video?
We only looked at one.
No, I haven't. I haven't looked at one. I haven't looked at more than one. I
I'm
have
talking
looked at more than one.
I'm talking about
Two?
today together, the one we looked at when you met Mr. Kelly.
I didn't look at one today. What? I just said, I just said the
Crazy.
one we looked at today.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow, she
Oh,
just looked at the video. She said she was the one in the cat suit. Lord
Oh my
Jesus.
God. Wow.
Okay, dear. I didn't look at one today. I just said the one we looked at today.
Do you remember looking at the video, the Home Alone shoot?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the sex tape. But go ahead.
I'll let you know when I'm talking about the sex, any sex tapes. I'll say sex. But the video shoot that we looked at earlier, you would agree that Mr. Kelly was roughly 30, 31 years old, I guess. Is that right?
I guess roughly.
And you would also agree, I think you testified that this video sort of kicked off like a 9-year relationship, right?
Yes.
Now, when you came to Chicago for the first time, it was actually in the beginning of 1999, right?
No.
Well, let's get this timeline down because when you testified about being 17, you also suggested that you traveled. Well, you met him in 97. And in fact, it was late 1999, 1998, right? We've established that. And that means that your first trip to Chicago would have been in early 1999. Am I correct?
No. 98.
Well, again, prior to the 2008 prosecution at this lengthy interview with the Cook County State's Attorney, you told the prosecutors that you traveled to Chicago in early 1998, right?
I'm not sure. If that's what I said, yes.
Okay,
Because I didn't think I was 17, so
right. So it's like a whole year later, right? In reality.
definitely not a year later when I traveled. No, it was cool. And I mean, if the video shoot was in August or September, then it was like a month after that, if that's when the video shoot was.
Well, let's look at your statement because the timeline is all now messed up because
It's not, it's really not. The video shoot was, you guys, you just told me that the video shoot was, and so it was like a month after that.
well, let's look at what you told the state's attorneys first, all right? Pull out first what she said about when she met him. Do you see the where it says Lisa VanAllen stated she met him in late 97, right?
Is this the same document from earlier?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the same thing you showed us. Okay.
Okay. And we've now established it was actually like a full year later, right?
No, we have not established it was a full year later. Why would it be a full year later?
Because the shoot didn't happen until September of 98, ma'am.
I've a full year later? You said February? Didn't you say that began in 1998, 1997? Which year were you saying that beginning of? I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Then listen. This says you told them you met him in late 97, right? When in fact,
I don't remember stating this.
I understand, but
So I'm not going to agree with that. So
I'm not asking you to agree to the truth of it. We know
you said if you tell,
it's not true.
you told.
Your Honor, again, just objection to the commentary. Objection to the form of this question as well, if that's a question.
Okay, I need to establish the timeline, Judge, because
Oh,
Judge,
I'm sorry. I apologize. Uh,
2042, line 1.
I know you're trying to establish, and I will. When was this shoot? Can can you can you agree that the shoot was in 98 or 97?
I agree with her that it was in 98 in August or September. And I went to Chicago a month after that.
All right.
if she confuses things by, okay, just answer the question and we'll get through this really fast, okay? So you will agree that you met him in late 98, right? Not late 97.
August is in late 98.
Oh my God. Well,
Wow.
ma'am,
So no, I don't agree.
it was September of 98, okay? Okay, you know what? We're just going to establish that, all right?
We agree to disagree.
Well, you were the only one there, but
No, I wasn't. Rob was there.
Objection to the commentary. I'm going to have to keep objecting, Your Honor, if this keeps happening.
okay, you know what?
Well, it's sort of a question, but
Okay, we'll just look at the report, okay? We're going to look at the report. We can be here all day fighting, but we're going to look at the report.
I don't want to fight with you.
Can you show her? It's the November 13th, 2019 report. And if you look at the second to last page, please, the 6th paragraph down, pull it out for her. Do you see it? You can't pull it out? That paragraph where it says contract information.
It's not letting me pull it out. Here we go.
There we go.
Sorry.
Go on and read that just to yourself.
I read it.
Okay. Could we agree that at least on November, when you had your interview on November the 13th of 2019, you were told by federal agents that Sony had confirmed that the Home Alone video was filmed in September of 98?
I don't remember the conversation, but if they told me that, then I would agree with you.
Okay, so we acknowledge that. And do you consider September late 1998 or not really?
I consider that the fall.
Okay, so let's go back now to the other. Okay, so when you spoke to the assistant state's attorneys before your testimony, you said the video shoot was in late 97, but in fact, it was September of 98. Okay, I'm saying roughly about a year difference, right?
Roughly.
Roughly. You don't have to be exact. And then you also told the state's attorney that in early 1998 is when you first came to Chicago. Do you see that in the third paragraph, first sentence?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So if the math holds up and it's about a year difference, what you would have been saying is like early 1999, right?
No, because I was basing it off the weather, not off the dates.
Okay. So not only did you misstate this to the state's attorneys back in 2008 when you were interviewed by them, but well, strike that. That still makes sense. Early 1999 would be the same type of weather as early 1998, right?
No, because I said 1990. I mean, I said 97 originally, right? 1997. You said, repeat that, repeat because you're confusing me. Say it again. I don't know. It's not making sense.
Let's just deal with what you said, okay? I'm not going to.
I want you to repeat it so I can make sure I am answering it correctly.
Well, everyone else will get it. You told them late 97.
I can't get her to repeat the question.
Wait. Until the question is said.
All right.
You admit that you told the state's attorneys that you met him in late 97 and the first time that you went to Chicago was early 1998, right?
Do I admit that?
No. Do you admit telling the state's attorneys that?
I mean, I don't remember. But if that's there, then yes. That's what I must have said.
Okay. Now you also testified under oath to at the trial of Mr. Kelly to this exact same story, right?
Repeat the question again.
Oh my God. You also testified under oath at Mr. Kelly's prosecution consistent with this timeline that you provided, right?
Early 1998?
Yeah.
Early 98 said yes, not a year later.
I don't even, okay. Now you made a couple of trips back and forth from Chicago after your first trip, right?
I made what? Repeat it, please.
After your first trip to Chicago, you made several trips back and forth from Chicago to Atlanta, correct?
A couple.
Okay, a couple of trips. And then you didn't move to Chicago until the summer of 1999. Is that right?
I'm really not sure exactly.
Now, when you did move to Chicago, of course, Robert paid for all your expenses and all of that, right?
Yes,
And you were asked by the prosecutor on direct examination what the nature of your relationship was with Kelly, right? After you moved there.
I guess so.
And you said one word. You said sexual. Do you remember answering that way?
I don't remember.
Okay. But your relationship was more than sexual. It was a generally good relationship, is how you described it, right?
I mean, there were some good points, of course.
You did normal things like go to the mall, go to the movies, go out to eat, right?
Yes,
You actually have said that it kind of worked because he's immature. He's an immature person, right?
yeah,
And you also went on tour with him, right?
yes,
And you had on one tour you went on, you had a responsibility in that tour, kind of a little job to do, right?
yes.
And you were able to put your acting skills to use, correct?
I don't understand the question.
Well, as part of the theatrics of one of his shows, it required him to pick someone randomly out of the audience to come up, and there was like this simulated sex scene. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you were the person he picked out, correct? And that was pre-planned, right?
Yes, he pre-planned it.
Right. So you were great, and you agreed to it as a grown woman.
Of course.
Okay. You keep saying he did this, but you agreed to participate in this way.
You're right.
Okay.
I did.
And this was on every performance that you did during the tour, correct?
Yes.
And you were in other videos with him. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you were you in the I Wish video?
Yes.
I like to show her just a little snippet of it.
For the jury?
No, not yet. I'm going to show her first. Just for her. Got it. Okay, Ashley, there. Do you recognize the images from this video?
Yes.
And do you see yourself in this video?
Yes.
Okay. And was this one of the videos you participated in with him while you were touring with him and working with him?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, I'd ask for leave to just play a small snippet for the jury.
Judge.
I'm here. Any objections? Hearing none, you can play it.
Thank you. Do you see yourself in that video?
Yes.
And who are you in that video?
I'm braiding his hair.
You can take that down.
Am I done?
Yeah, you can take it down. You were asked yesterday whether or not your relationship was exclusive. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you said on your end it was exclusive, correct?
Yes, I was living up there with him.
But you always knew that Mr. Kelly was never exclusive with anyone, right?
Once I moved up there, and yes, we were, yeah.
But that was no secret to anyone, correct?
At that point, yes, it wasn't a secret.
Yeah, and he was married, right?
I found that out later, too, yes.
So you only found out after you moved there that this very prominent R&B singer was married until you moved there.
Yes.
Okay, but you must have learned it pretty quickly, right?
When the runner said, "Your wife is on the line," yes.
You didn't ask him whether he was married?
I did not. He didn't have a ring on his finger.
Well, because he's not exclusive, right? He was never exclusive.
I guess.
He wasn't trying to present an exclusive as exclusive, right?
I guess.
And you weren't exclusive either. That was not true, right?
At the point when I was living with him, I was.
Well,
But not after that, no.
it's also true that you had a sexual relationship with Keith Morrell, right?
After I wasn't living with him, yes.
And you claimed that Robert was so controlling, he wouldn't even let you look at other men. But you described to us yesterday that you became quite close with Keith and the other members of the talent group, right?
I did when I'm sorry. I did when I'd go back to the hotel when I was not around Robert.
Uh-huh. But you became tight, and they were all male members of the band that he managed, right?
Right.
You weren't worried about them going back and saying your girl is talking to us or anything like that, right?
No, because I was feeding them. So I knew they wouldn't want to mess that up. They only had $25 a week.
Right. That's what they told you, right?
I believe it. They were hungry.
Uh-huh. And you on Mr. Kelly's bill decided to order them.
It was actually production. That's what it said on my bill.
Well, the government has done a very good job of showing guess who owns base productions.
I don't know.
All right.
Honestly,
So you also told the jury yesterday that he was abusive to you, right?
it happened a couple of times.
Okay, so when you say he was abusive, you're saying it was like two incidents?
Yeah, it was two incidents and it was more emotional than physical abuse.
All right, because that's not really the portrait you painted yesterday. It sounded like there was like drawn out physical abuse, but now that's not correct, right?
I never said it was drawn out, but I said that there were some abuse. I'm sure I said that.
Okay. And in fact, you did actually have a physically abusive relationship during the time that you were still connected to Mr. Kelly, right?
Your Honor, can we have a sidebar?
Proceedings heard.
Can you specify?
Objection. Can we have a sidebar?
Proceedings heard at sidebar on record. This is all redacted. Go ahead.
So, Miss Van Allen, at some point you've testified that you went back to Atlanta. You were no longer in this relationship, or at least a regular relationship with Mr. Kelly, right?
Right?
And you did have a new relationship with a person named Mr. Pryor. Is that right?
Yes.
In fact, your first child is with Mr. Pryor, right?
Yes.
And you, after, during your relationship with him, while you were pregnant and after he became physically abusive to you, right?
Very yes.
Okay. And in order to get away, you went back to Mr. Kelly to be with him, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you testified that you had sexual experiences with Mr. Kelly that involved threesomes, right?
Yes.
And fair to say, you can't even put a number on how many threesomes you participated in with Mr. Kelly, right?
Right.
Lots of different women, right?
Yes.
I think you identified at least close to at least 10 when you were interviewed previously, right?
I'm not sure of the number, but I didn't identify some. I did identify some.
Okay, does 10 sound right? Or
Somewhere around there.
and you said yesterday that you didn't want to do any of these threesomes, right? Because you just didn't want to, right?
I I think any woman would be. Right. I because I didn't want to share him. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, you didn't want to share him and it made you upset, right?
I think any woman would be.
Well, I don't know about that, but you didn't want to do it and you have said that. But yesterday you said you did it because he asked you to.
Yes, the very first time we had a conversation about him, and he said he never had a threesome before and he wanted to have one with me. The very first one.
And where was that, like location wise?
I think it was in LA. I think or something.
Okay. And was that when you were traveling with him?
I don't recall if we traveled together or not. I don't think so. I think I met him there, but I'm really not sure. But I know that he had told me he had never had one before.
Well, what year was that?
I'm really not sure. I just know it was the very first one.
And
And then right after that it was the one with Rashana. I mean Jane, sorry.
The same motion from yesterday, Your Honor. We don't have to go to sidebar.
okay.
We don't have to go to sidebar, Your Honor.
Yana, wake up.
Oh,
I'm in
you
the
don't?
chat. Oh, you don't?
I'm making the same motion.
Surprise.
Okay.
Okay. Do you need a ruling on that or
No, I don't need a ruling on that, but I would object to the, again, unnecessary commentary, Your Honor.
okay. Now, were you living in Chicago when you went to LA where you had this first threesome experience?
I honestly not sure. I don't really recall. Probably, but I don't. I'm not honestly sure.
Because you said you didn't go with him, but you met him there.
I'm saying he didn't like to fly. I flew there.
Okay, so I'm asking, did you fly there from Chicago or did you fly there from Atlanta, Georgia?
I honestly don't remember. It probably was Chicago.
Okay, and you've also testified that you felt like you owed him something because of how you had threesomes with him because you felt like you felt bad for him and you owed him because of how he had been molested as a child, right?
You said I stated that?
Yeah.
That I had threesome because he was molested?
Yeah.
I mean, if that was what I said, but I don't you're saying I said that back to back?
Yeah. Would you like let's look at it?
Yeah.
Can you pull up the March 7th, 2019 interview, please?
Your Honor, I'm gonna have to ask for a sidebar. Can we have one? It's an objection.
Proceedings to be heard at the sidebar on record. This is all redacted, you guys. Okay, end of sidebar.
Okay. Do you have March 7th, 2019 up? Can we get to the right page? Do you need the page, Ashley?
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
okay. We're going to go to the last page. Well, it's 7 of 10. It goes from 6 to 7, the bottom of 6. Okay. The last paragraph, pull that out for her. Okay, take a look at this, please. Let me know when you're finished, Miss Van Allen. Okay, and go to the next page, the first paragraph, just the first three. Yeah, right there. Just read that to yourself up until, yeah. Let me know when you're finished.
Yes.
Do you remember telling the agents that you went along with the threesomes because you felt like you owed him because he had helped you and you felt bad because of how his sister molested him when he was young?
Yes. And we kind of bond because I was sexually abused too. Yes.
Right? Okay, you can take that down. You testified yesterday that you met Jane. Well, it wasn't really clear when you met Jane, but you've actually previously testified that you met Jane after a year after you met Mr. Kelly. Do you
Hmm.
remember that? Testifying to that?
I don't remember.
All right.
Mm.
But I do know the 3 times were pretty separate times. We were like back to back. We weren't like back to back,
Okay. I'm asking about when you met her.
but I don't remember exactly.
Do you remember testifying before the jury in the 2008 criminal trial that it was about a year after you came to Chicago that you met her?
I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
That was 13, 14 years ago.
And is it your testimony that this threesome that occurred in the Colorado room was the first time you met her?
I believe so.
And at the time, you didn't question whether you said she told you she was 16 years old. Are you sure she wasn't 16 years old?
What are you saying again? Please repeat that.
Are you sure she wasn't 16 years old? Because this timeline has shifted a lot. So are you sure she wasn't 16 years old?
He told me she was 16.
Right. And are you sure she was not 16 years old at the time?
Based on what she said 2 years later, it would state that she wasn't.
Okay. But you've also previously testified that you know that you were there in Chicago
Mm-hmm.
a year before you were even there. So that's, I guess, what I'm asking. Are you positive that based on this new timeline that you were introduced to her actually that she was actually 16 years old at that time?
I mean, based on what she said, based off of what she said, I would be pretty sure.
Okay.
Based off her statement.
Right, which happened, well, let's look at this a little more closely. By the way, you didn't at the time have any issues with her being 16 years old. Is that right?
No, because I have friends of her age. They were all. It's high school.
But if she was 16, let's just say she was, you would have been 20. You're 4 years apart, right?
No, I wouldn't have been 20. No, not at that time.
Okay.
Not if she was. He if she wasn't 16.
Right. Well, you claim that you had these three threesomes with her, right?
Yes.
And you said he filmed all three threesomes, right?
Yes.
But you gave testimony at the 2008 trial where you said that there were only two occasions when there was filming of these threesomes, right?
When was this? 2008?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I don't. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I mean,
You're saying you might have testified to that?
yeah, I may have.
Okay.
But I didn't. I didn't. It didn't.
I would that have been, and would that have been a mistake then or a mistake now?
I'm not sure. I know we had, a threesome.
Okay, and
That is the fact.
you also testified that he never serendipitously or secretly recorded, right?
No,
You could always see the video camera right there, correct?
there was a tripod too.
And there were lights apparently, right?
I mean, there were like regular room light. Yeah.
Now, you I think said yesterday you left him in around what, 2001, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And by left him, you mean you left Chicago, right?
We were in, yeah, Florida, Chicago.
Oh, by the way, I want to show you some pictures before you move on to when you left him, if I could, of yourself when you were with Mr. Kelly. I'm going to mark, oh, we didn't mark those prior videos, did we?
No, 111 is Home Alone.
Okay, Judge, just for the record, the Defendant Kelly Home Alone video is Defendant Kelly 111, and then the I Wish video, Defendant 111, no, 112, Defendant Kelly 112, right?
Fine.
And now I'm going to have you look at Defendant Kelly 113. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
That was at the woman's threat video shoot.
Which one?
Woman's threat.
Okay. And what does it depict? Like, who is it? Who is in the picture?
Me robbing me.
Okay. And does it fairly and accurately represent what you both look like at that time?
Yes.
Okay. I'd ask for leave to publish or introduce and publish.
Any objections?
Subject to my position from this morning, no objection.
It's admitted. You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, you said this was at the women's threat video shoot,
Yes.
and you have previously testified that the women's threat video shoot occurred in 2000, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, but it was 2002 actually, right?
I'm not sure.
You know dates are
It wasn't 2000.
important, right?
It wasn't 2000. This is new to me. This is new to
Okay,
me.
okay. It was 2002. Does that sound off?
I mean, it does to me because I thought it was 2000.
Why do you think it was 2000? Like, what triggered your memory to think it was 2000 if you know?
Because I'm not mistaken, I was up there with him then. In 2002, I would have had a daughter and everything by then. I didn't have a child then.
Without giving an exact date, what's the month and year of your daughter's birthday?
She was born in 2002,
Could you give me that month?
July.
July. Okay. And so could this have been before?
I would have been pregnant
In this?
if it was 2002.
Okay, and so it's your belief that it was 2000.
I mean, as far as I can remember, I know it was not 2002 though.
All right, because you gave birth in July of 2002. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. And could you go to the next one?
Not to publish.
Huh?
Not to publish.
Oh, just for the witness. Thank you. Let me know when you see that photo.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. Do you recognize that photo?
Yes.
And who is in that photo?
Myself and two of my cousins.
Okay. And do you know when that photo was taken?
It was probably 2000 or 2001, one of those.
Do you see your shirt?
Yes.
Okay. And what does your shirt, well, let's show it to the jury. Does it fairly and accurately represent a photo of you and your two cousins?
Yes.
Okay. I'd ask for leave to introduce and publish to the jury.
It's admitted. You may publish.
Okay. And it says, at the Florida vacation home with my cousins, right?
Yes.
And by the way, that's a picture that you published in your own memoir, right?
Right.
That was a lot about Mr. Kelly, right?
Yes.
And this vacation home was the vacation home you shared with Mr. Kelly, correct?
Yes, he'd come.
Well, it's his house, right?
Yes, it was his house.
It wasn't your house, it was his house, right?
Yes.
Okay. And were you on tour on this TP2 tour with him?
I'm sure. Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. And these were your cousins visiting you at the Florida vacation home, right?
Yes.
Okay. Take that down. Okay. Could we show it to the witness, please? This is defendant Kelly 113.
No, 115.
Oh, 115. Sorry. Do you recognize yourself there?
Yes.
And what does, is that a picture of you?
Yes.
Does it fairly and accurately represent you?
Yes.
And where were you?
I think it's on a tour bus.
A tour bus or
His tour bus. Yes.
his tour bus?
Yes.
Okay. I'd ask for leave to publish to the jury, introduce into evidence, and publish to the jury.
All right. It's admitted. You may publish it to the jury.
Okay. Is that a photograph of you on Mr. Kelly's tour bus?
Yes.
Okay. And is this how you traveled with him from time to time?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know when this was taken?
Probably around the same time. Probably.
Which was?
Probably 2000, 2001, somewhere around there.
Do you remember what month it was that you say you left him in 2001?
No, I don't remember exactly.
Okay. And I have one or two more pictures
For the witness?
just for the witness. Okay. Do you recognize that photo?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you recognize that photo to be?
Myself and a girl named Lena.
Okay. And does it fairly and accurately represent you and Leah?
Yes.
And what year, do you remember what month, well, what year this was taken?
I believe, I don't know what month, but I believe it was about the same time, 2000 or 2001.
Okay. And where was the picture taken?
The mall, I think, what was that mall name? It was
Give us a state.
the mall, Florida.
Okay. So it was in Florida.
Uh-huh.
Ask for leave to introduce and publish.
All right, you may.
Okay. And was Leah, you said?
Lena.
Lena, was she someone that was associated with Mr. Kelly too?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, and in a romantic way as well?
Yes.
Okay, and you were friends with her as well, right?
Yeah, she was cool.
Okay, did you have threesomes with her?
Sometimes she wasn't always around, but now and then.
Okay, you can take that down. Okay, now you have said that you left Rob in around 2001, but it sounds like that relationship continued off and on for the next, what, 6 years about? Well, until you testified against him, right?
Until '07, yes.
Okay, and you decided to leave Chicago, according to you, because it just wasn't the type of relationship you wanted to be in anymore, right?
Just I wasn't, progressing any. I wasn't doing much of anything.
Right, understood. And you decided to move back to Atlanta, correct?
Yes.
And I think you testified that before you left, you took a videotape from his duffel bag, right?
Yes.
Did you take more than one videotape, Miss Van Allen?
No.
Just one?
Just one.
And you testified that you were specifically looking for this threesome tape with Jane, but you were actually just looking for any tapes with you on it, weren't you?
I mean, honestly, I don't recall. I know I wanted a tape with me on it.
Right, and that's specific to her, correct?
I'm not sure at the time.
Okay, well, do you remember giving an interview with on this VLAD TV? Vlad TV?
Yes.
And you gave that interview in 2000. What is it? 2019. Sound about right?
About right.
And what was the name of the host of that show?
Lad, I think.
Is it Vlad? Okay.
Yeah, I think.
And you told him during that show that you were just randomly looking at videos, and that was the one that you sort of came across, and that's why you ended up taking that one, correct?
It's possible because that was the one that would really upset me. So, yeah.
Well, you testified that it was just the one you happened upon, and you would have taken as many as you could if you could have found them.
If they had me on it, yeah, I would have taken more.
But my point is yesterday you suggested that you were specifically looking for this one threesome video. But that's not true. You were just looking for a threesome video. Any video with you on it, right?
I'm I don't remember. I'm really not sure.
Okay, can we, for the witness judge, I like to play a short clip for her. Turn it down. Closed captioning isn't great. Okay, does this refresh your recollection about?
I was going to ask you if you could go back a little bit because it sped past too quick for me.
Okay, well, Judge, I would just ask to impeach her with it because, or she can hear it if we want to put the headphones on.
Okay, please.
I mean, I'm happy to just play it because I'm going to impeach her with it unless she wants to admit it. But
Go ahead.
okay, play it. And if you could play it. Okay, so you previously stated in this interview that you were just looking through them and that was the one you found and that was it, right?
That was the one I found, yes.
Right. It wasn't. You say it was the one with Jane, but you didn't say it was the one with Jane here, at least in this clip. But you weren't, my point is, you weren't specifically looking for this one particular scene that you had said that you were looking for, right?
I was looking for the threesomes.
There are lots of threesomes tapes, right?
The ones with me on it. Yes, but I want the ones with me upset. Anybody would.
Were you upset in the log cabin scene? I thought that was a different scene.
I was upset about all of them. I may not have cried, but trust me.
But did you or did you not cry on this videotape that you,
The log cabin one?
yes,
No.
that's the one you,
But I still was upset.
I understand, but you just said you wanted the one that you were upset in.
Yes, I was upset on all of them. Any of them with any women.
So you were upset in all of them. So you wanted any of them, right?
I would have loved to have every tape of me on it.
Okay, okay, okay. You claim that you found this VHS tape, okay, in his bag, the one, and that it depicts scenes of Robert and Jane in addition to the threesome scene, right?
Yes.
And you claim that there was a scene, we'll call it the checkered floor scene, and then a bedroom scene with Jane, right?
Yes.
And then there was the threesome scene. It is all on the same tape, according to you, right?
Right.
But
Yes.
but in fact, neither of those two scenes were actually on this tape, right?
They are on the tape or were.
Have you ever seen a tape with all three scenes on them ever?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And I, just for the purposes of clarification, none of these scenes were the scene from the 2008 prosecution, correct?
None of them were. No.
Okay. Now, Mr. Brenly asked you some questions on cross-examination yesterday, and I'm not going to repeat them, but I do have some additional questions regarding this. The tape that you, this tape that had the threesome on it was the only scene on it. Isn't that the case?
No.
Which is why, when you were asked under oath at the 2008 trial about the tape, you said, I've never seen a tape with just Robert and Jane. Remember him cross examining you and asking you about that testimony?
Yes, but I explained what I meant.
Yeah, right. I know you had some explanations, so that's what I want to talk to you about. Let me get this straight. If this tape had these other two scenes showing Robert and Jane as an underage girl, you definitely would have brought that to the attention of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office when you turned state witness in 2008, right?
I didn't have it in my possession.
It doesn't matter. You would have told them they were prosecuting him for child pornography with this young woman, right, Jane?
Yes.
And you certainly would have said, and the tape that I got had two scenes with her and him. You would have told them that, right?
I'm pretty sure we discussed something about another tape. I think that's how I was able to testify.
I'm not talking about another tape. I'm talking about the tape you took.
Yes, I was able to testify is because I told them about the other tape.
Right. And you told them about a threesome, but you didn't say anything about two scenes with Robert and Jane, did you?
I told them about everything.
Okay. Well, let's look at the statement that you made to the.
It doesn't mean that I didn't tell them.
Huh?
It doesn't mean I didn't tell them. We had interviews, when they came to visit me, things like that where we just talked.
Well, let me ask you something. Don't you think that the Cook County State's Attorney's Office might find that to be an important fact?
Objection. It calls for speculation.
That you had two,
Yeah, the objection is sustained.
the state's attorneys were prosecuting him for child pornography, okay? Let's look at the statement that they prepared after their first interview with you, okay? I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to ask you to look at it. And I want you And let's look. How many pages is it? If you could scroll through, okay, 5 pages. Do you see the page 5 at the top there? It's about 5 pages, right?
Yes.
Now, I could have you read the whole thing, but there's nothing in there in which you ever mention, at least according to the state's attorneys, anything about these other two scenes of Rob and Jane.
I'm not understanding what you're getting at.
Okay, there's nothing. This statement that you provided was the statement in which the state's attorneys came out and said, "Tell us what you know about Robert Kelly," right?
Well, we we contacted them. We were speaking about these threesomes, so that is what they questioned me about, the threesome.
So you just didn't tell them about those other two scenes?
It wasn't that I didn't tell them. I answered their question just like I'm answering yours.
And you're telling me that they asked no question that would have produced an answer such as, yes, there were two other scenes on this tape that included scenes with Mr. Kelly and Jane.
Um, I didn't have the tape.
But you claim,
I never asked a question. They never asked a question like that. No.
so of all the questions that the state attorney asked you, none of them got to the question of what was on the tape.
Honestly, I'm not sure how it went or whatever.
Okay, let's go to. I'm not going to have you read the whole thing, but I'm going to draw your attention to the part that seems to be the most relevant. Let's go to what will be the third page. Okay, at the top, I want you to read to yourself the paragraph where it starts with Lisa.
Your Honor, I'd ask that they redact this. They have the ability to do it pretty quickly on their iPad.
Yeah, we'll do it, sure.
Okay,
Okay,
we're gonna
good.
stop.
Okay,
It's 9 o'clock here, and I gotta go to sleep. I'm getting sleepy.
okay.
Guys, we are at page 2081, line 1. 2081 for tomorrow. We do this. What time would be good for everyone?
6:37 Eastern Standard Time.
So that's 5 my time. That's 7 better because I'll be back from, it'll be 6 over here. 7
Okay.
is fine. Eastern Standard Time.
So 5 my time, probably.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you. I'm so tired right now. Thank you so much, guys. We will be back to continue this one. So everybody remember what page we're on, right?
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you guys hit the like button today. Page 2081, line 1. Okay, guys. Have a good night. Thank
Okay,
you,
you too.
everybody.
You're
Good
welcome.
night.
Thank you.
All right, hon. Thank you,
All
guys.
righty. Bye
Bye.
bye.